We're recording.
Why would you hit record when we're not ready?
We're never ready.
All right. What are we doing?
Hey, this is us being consistent.
2 weeks. That's not bad for you. 2 weeks.
Contain your enthusiasm. That shocked me.
Oh.
You're
Welcome
normal.
to the making of Smile and Company, everybody. This is now apparently one of the co-hosts. My name is Brian, and I'm with.
Ashley,
Good to see you.
that's me. Good to see you.
Um,
Well, we figure we can do this consistently because we live together. So,
Still doesn't make it easy.
no, it does not. In fact, we were watching White Lotus and you made us stop watching so that we can record.
That's correct. Well, so we're a couple weeks down from the last time. We were talking about some of the construction challenges and just overall things that have been going on with the practice. What's been going on for the past couple of weeks in the Smiling Co world?
So I visited Smiling Co Roseville this morning. Actually, I visited on Wednesday and today. And today I met with Leo, my low voltage guy, and we walked the space and marked where he wants or he asked where I wanted to have all of the speakers for the audio, all of the knobs, who's going to get the knobs, and also the security cameras.
That's kind of fun.
It was really fun. Like I wish I had somebody there recording that meeting.
Oh.
Yeah, but it was just the two of us, and I thought it would be weird if I was recording us while he was talking to me.
Can't you just held like a 10-foot selfie stick? So it's kind of far away, so he doesn't really see it.
I think you overestimate my upper body strength. A 10-foot pole that sounds heavy,
Maybe not that far. Or like set up a tripod.
but we're walking.
Oh.
That would be the weirdest tripod ever.
Don't they have drones yet that can like artificial intelligence wise just follow you around and be able to record everything?
Sure.
All right. Okay, so construction's coming along.
You want to know what it looks like?
Yeah.
Because the last time we recorded, and because we did it so recently ago, I remember what we spoke about.
What do we talk
And
about?
we were just talking about how the drywall was going up.
Oh, okay. So
The,
the drywall is going up.
the drywall is up.
Drywall. Thank you for the update.
The drywall is up and it looks like an office, which is so exciting.
Yeah. Oh, so I think so the drywall was going to be going up when we talked last, right? So I actually put a poll up on the Making of's Instagram page to try to see
Oh, I didn't know that.
what people thought. You know, I mean, there's a lot of exciting days in construction, right? I mean, obviously, you know, demo day
Right.
is kind of fun. You know, the final day of when you're doing the final walkthroughs and stuff, obviously, you know, come to fruition. But I think I think drywall day is kind of a big one because it's one of those days that you actually start to truly see the vision of the space, right? You know, having the walls framed and all of that is like, yeah, you can kind of see it, but since you're still seeing through everything,
Right.
it doesn't actually look like the space. But so
It
I thought
feels
that,
real now.
yeah, I felt like the drywall day is like, okay, like I can really see the footprint of what's going to go on here. Nobody agreed with me
Oh,
on the
really?
poll. Demo day and final walkthrough won resoundingly. Not a
Hmm.
lot of people were fans of drywall day.
Well, I love drywall day.
I thought so too. I thought I think it's a pretty impactful day to see things.
You know what would be really cool if we knew how to do video editing, and this video that we're posting to YouTube could have a walkthrough of you doing the walkthrough with the drywall.
Oh, yeah.
Like a picture in picture. Do you guys remember that, or are we old?
No, picture I think still exists.
Oh, really?
Uh,
Like picture in picture was so high tech.
It was groundbreaking.
It was groundbreaking.
Yeah, but we don't know how to video edit, so that's not
No,
gonna go
so that's not
onto
gonna
the
happen.
YouTube channel. But if
No, it
you're
wasn't
listening,
solo by
yeah,
itself.
yeah. But
Yeah.
if you're listening to this podcast, please go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Nice plug. So there's your construction update. What's happening in the office?
What's happening in the office? I did I tell you that I had to reapply for my practice loan?
I think you were no, maybe. Tell me more.
Yeah, so because we purchased the building and because that took so long, I mean, just the permitting process alone was 6.5 months long. Because we purchased the building, it took, like it added basically a year, year and a half. What do you think? A year?
A lot of time.
Because we put the initial LOI, letter of intent, August 2021. And we didn't start, we didn't close on the building until
June of 22.
June of 2022. But we couldn't get our plans for construction approved until,
October? Was it October?
my gosh, it was so long. It was so long. Anyways, so typically a startup will do a lease, like you find a nice space in a retail center, high visibility, and then you negotiate a few months of free rent, but your practice finance loan starts to take effect, what, like 6 months into the build out process.
Yeah.
So this is now approaching a long time. And I had no idea that my loan was set to expire next month. So that means that I had the pleasure of reapplying for the loan. And I kid you not, that was actually very stressful. Well, one, because I hate paperwork. But two, there have been significant changes financially since the first time we had applied for the practice finance loan. Do you remember?
Yeah. What was the main change?
Oh, gosh. Okay. So I think one of the biggest things, so I got, I had my phone call with the underwriter. So basically the last person that you are going to get through before they're going to either approve or reject your loan extension. That was last Friday. And he was asking why our revenues were down. And yeah, so our revenues were down significantly. I think we had said we dropped 400,000 last year. Yeah, which and I told him, I was like, well, I cut back to 2 days a week. I was previously working 4. And I did that, one, because I had more meetings with construction and overseeing that project. But also, we hosted our first retreat for this group for the making of. And Judy was Judy basically made sure that the office was still running, but Colin and I, we had to do all of the planning, like set up the meetings, all of that. And so it was basically a 2-woman, 2.5 woman plus Brian, whenever Brian could help. It was a lot of woman hours outside of the office. And I know that it wouldn't have happened if I worked 4 days a week. Like dentistry is draining. And I didn't want this to be something on the back burner. So I cut back. I cut back clinically. And if you listen to our last podcast, our numbers showed.
Yeah. And I mean, it was a drop for sure. It was about 17% decline. So you math whizzes out there can actually figure out because
That's a lot. See, I'm glad I don't do math on the regular.
well, I mean, I think there are some practices
I
that
thought it was only 10.
a little bit of that. 10 would imply that you did $4 million, right? 400,000.
Okay, so in 2021, we were at 2.4 mil. 2022, it was, yeah, almost 2.1.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little over 2. So I mean, it was a little bit of a decline, and I mean, I guess obviously you have to account for that, or they have to account for that for the loan purposes and such. But so let's use that to kind of pick up where we're going. So, obviously the first practice is it slowed down a little bit.
Mhm.
And you've been kind
Yeah,
of
so he wasn't
working.
too happy about me cutting back because his first response after, because he's like, uh-huh, uh-huh. Okay, so you dropped down from 4 days to 2 days, but you will be resuming 4 days.
Yeah, underwriter, don't listen to the podcast. Don't listen to my next words. Whatever you have to tell him to get him to just sign off and get it going. But that's not the goal, right? I mean, the goal isn't for you to go back to Smile and Co. 4 days a week. So we're gonna work into towards the goals, which are building 2 successful offices. And so how are we going to be focusing on Folsom?
I think we talked about marketing.
You said that you were going to start marketing at some point.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
we talked about that already. But I mean, what kind of things have you been thinking about or working on the past couple of weeks to try to help steady, more steady the ship and get it back on a growth trajectory for Folsom?
Well, one thing that I am being more intentional about is meeting with our docs. So I had 2 separate lunch dates with each of my associates, and it was it was really nice to be able to connect. So we blocked it on the schedule because what doesn't get scheduled doesn't happen. So I came in on a Thursday and a Wednesday that I wasn't scheduled to come in, and we put in 2-hour blocks in their day, and I treated them to lunch. But before that, I should backtrack. Before that, Judy and Colin and myself have been creating written documents on expectations per position. And I think that's one thing that we didn't have before. I'm trying not to move.
You move a lot,
I move a lot,
like a lot,
a lot. Yeah. I'm trying to just burn more calories, that you know.
You're trying to just figure out how great you can make the audio for this recording by moving as much as you can with your bubble jacket on.
It's true. I'm sorry, guys, if you're listening to my bubble jacket. It's freezing in our house, and we can't turn on the heater because you'll hear it on
So,
the
so
microphone.
instead of hearing the heater that's 3 feet away from Ashley, you're hearing her bubble jacket squirming in the chair. Anyway,
You made me lose my train of thought.
so you guys have been working on
Oh, yes.
actually creating some checklists or whatever.
Expectations.
Sure. Okay.
Per position.
Got it.
So before we had the lunches, my associates both got their list of expectations. And I tried to make that as detailed as possible. And then it was great because they knew exactly what I was thinking, but we were able to, not we, they gave me feedback on what they need from me too,
Mhm.
to be better, to get our office more efficient, to be more productive. So it's always nice to get out of the office and just talk, just mano a mano.
Yeah. What are some of the things that they want you to be able to provide for them to be more successful? Like what can you do as the owner doc, the leader?
Yeah. Well, one thing that one doc brought up was the fact that I actually both docs have brought up the fact that we try to implement systems, but I don't hold the team accountable. And when things aren't audited, they don't get done. And that is something that I know is my biggest fault. Like I have many faults, and that for sure is one of the biggest, because I changed my mind at the drop of a hat. We've been open 5 years. We've had 5 different consultants in that amount of time. And whatever flavor of the week, whatever podcast I listen to, whatever book I'm listening to, I want that implemented like yesterday.
Yep.
And the forms, like even if it's a what is it called? A route slip. I don't even, I can't even keep track of how many times we've had a route slip like modified to the point where now like the route slip is still something that the team will get half the time. And Tiffany, I know she listens to the pod. Thanks for this feedback, Tiffany. She basically told me, she's like, everybody means well, but if they know that you are going to change within a few months, then why do they have to do the work? Because it's only going, it's going to shift. Things are going to evolve.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me, she said, whatever you're planning on doing, everyone is behind you, but you have to see it through, and you can't shift from it for at least 1 to 2 years. And like me being the emotional one, like it was really good to hear that feedback, because quite honestly, I get frustrated because the way I see it is, if I continuously have to remind the team, show up to huddle on time with a pen and a highlighter, ready to take notes, ready to see who can, who still has treatment and all of this that can be added same day, who has balances, whose family members we haven't scheduled in a while. Like, and I consistently see that they're not taking notes, or they're not showing up to huddle. Or we have a break room door that I've even had Julie print out a sign that says, please keep door closed at all times, employees only. And I do that, one, because I don't want anybody to see our break room, but two, more importantly, that's where the team puts their purses. So a security measure, and every day, multiple times a day, the door is not shut. So in my head, I'm thinking, I don't know if they are respecting me as their boss. But I also, I can't think that way. Like I know that I am emotional, and my gut reaction is, okay, whatever I'm saying to them is, if it's not getting done, it's because, and then I create create the stories in my head of the excuses.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's just because I am horrible at keeping people accountable.
Yeah. And I mean, in reality, sometimes you think you close the door and it didn't close all the way. And
Yeah.
there's a million
Yeah, exactly.
practical reasons, right?
Yes.
So I gave you a book last week
Mm-hmm.
that I started listening, audiobook that I started listening to. I heard this gentleman on a podcast, the Learning Leader podcast, for those interested. And I thought it was very a great podcast, and I thought it was a very interesting topic. And so the book's called Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. And I'm bringing that up, and maybe we'll get further into the book, but in the book, they kind of go through, and he's talking about how entrepreneurs are kind of addicted to chaos, because particularly if you grew up in chaos, right? If you grew up in chaos, it kind of lends to entrepreneurship, because you're kind of used to functioning at a high level with a lot of things going on. And as you're saying, this constant change and constant evolution thing, it comes to my mind about, can you just be addicted to the chaos of it? Like almost, he even talks about like where he has friends or colleagues that he's worked with or people that he's coached, where it's almost this inadvertent self-sabotage where things are going great. Let's change something because things are going great, to make it so that things aren't going quite as great. Um, do you feel like there might be some of that inadvertent
No,
changes to things
no,
that are going on
not at
because you thrive in the chaos of it, and focusing on the chaos of it allows you to focus on something rather than other things that are like, I don't know, wilder, crazier dreams and such.
no. I don't I don't thrive in chaos.
Mm.
I don't.
If you're listening to the podcast, I would like you to go to the YouTube channel and watch Ashley's face for the past 30 seconds of this conversation and see if you might have a different response. Um, but I'm okay. So in general, do you think that maybe that entrepreneurship or entrepreneurs or like, obviously a lot of the docs that are in this group listen to this podcast. Do you feel like there might be some element, and self-sabotage obviously sounds like a very loaded thing, but like little things that, seem like they might be smart decisions, but in reality are probably making life a little bit more challenging for people when there's an easier way or an easier solution. Or maybe just no change is a better solution.
To be completely honest, I think I don't thrive in chaos. I think that I am the chaos. And I think that that is more accurate of a statement, especially if you work at Smiling Co. So my decisions to always hire a consultant and pay someone else to teach me how to not be chaotic is the only reason why I've tried to okay, so the office takes the shape of the leader. If the office is successful, it's the leader. If the office is not successful, it's the leader. And my bad habits of being not so efficient, I know you called me out on that last episode, not being efficient, not being organized, not being systematic. I know that those same traits my team has also succumbed to. What is it? You don't you don't fall, and you don't rise to the level. Okay, I'm totally butchering. Whatever. Okay, see, so I just want my team to be able to not be in a chaotic environment. And I realize that I am not the best person to implement this because I am not the integrator. I'm the visionary. And I actually am so glad that you recommended that book to me, because he talks about how you really need to be doing the things that you love, that you are good at in order to propel your business.
Mhm.
And that's why I've hired all of these people to help. But it makes me I feel like it's also on my shoulders to be the auditor. So even though I don't, like, it's not in my DNA to write checklists and write systems and write playbooks, I want somebody who's going to do that. But at the end of the day, if I'm not the one checking up that these things are happening, then nothing is going to get implemented. Does that make sense?
Sure. So you want somebody to help you with implementation, but I think anybody who's listening to this is going to question how 5 consultants, 5 dogmas different ways of looking at things in 5+ years, can actually be that,
Yeah.
right? I mean, because any consultant who's worth their salt will tell you it takes time to actually get traction with anything, right?
Yeah.
No one's going to come in and say, "Oh, month one, you're going to grow by X amount."
Right.
If they do, they're a snake oil salesman. It takes time for all this stuff to take effect. And so, I mean, that becomes a challenge. And I think that's what you said, that your feedback was how do you just stick with something, because it will get worse before it gets better. You're changing things, and you're changing behaviors. It's just like your health, right? I mean, the first 3 weeks that you're not drinking coffee, as somebody who just recently quit coffee, not super happy with life, right? And and now, 7 weeks later, like it's a whole lot easier to not drink coffee every day, right? And as a very simple thing, when that's a physiology of a drug that has a 8-hour half-life or whatever it has. I mean, imagine, for you're talking about things in your practice, it takes a lot longer than that to be able to work through it.
So we just have to stick to it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it always sucks before it gets better, right? I mean, it's hard. Change is hard. Any change, whether it's even if it is for the better.
So that's where Smile & Co is at.
Right on.
And we're going to be implementing more of the departmental meetings. So Judy and Jules met. They're my 2-woman admin team. And the plan is, because we are opening a second location, the plan is that Team Folsom, well, we're going to be splitting up the team in half, and Team Folsom needs to be at a place where they can be running efficiently and profitably without whoever I decide to take to Roseville, and vice versa. So
what's your 5-year vision for these 2 practices?
I mean, I want both practices to be okay in 5 years. Oh man, 5 years, I would love to be having 2 profitable solo practices.
Okay. I hope it takes you less than 5 years to have 2 profitable practices.
Yeah, me too.
That's
Fee for service.
okay. So we already talked about you getting out of network with Delta. Yeah. So yes. Dig a little deeper.
That runs without me.
I don't know.
That runs without me.
I don't set your dreams. And this is kind of been our conversation for 6 years, whatever it's been, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what you have going on inside your head.
I want to still be doing cosmetic dentistry out of both practices and be the specialist. So having at least 1 full-time associate in each location doing the bread and butter, having 2 hygienists in each location, servicing our target demographic, Mr. and Mrs. Wilmore.
Still my favorite.
I know. I've gotten a couple texts from you guys, and it's awesome because you'll just randomly text Mr. and Mrs. Wilmore.
It's I really, really love that description. So much so that I think I posted it on all of our different socials, because I think it's just hilarious. Okay, all right. So what else is going on? No, talk to me a little bit more about your interpretation of the book. So can I tell you, so this book, and I'll link the book in the show notes, because I really like the book. I'm almost finished with it.
I really love the book. We're gonna go to Barnes and Noble on Saturday. I want to buy the hard copy.
Yeah. But anyway, so I started listening to the book, and I sent it to Ash, and I was like, hey, I think you'll actually really like this book. And I sent her the podcast thinking
I
maybe
haven't listened to
because
the
of
pod yet.
your sporadicness, you'd prefer a 45-minute podcast over an audiobook, but you chose the book first.
Mhm.
And I kid you not, like later that morning, I think it was, uh, she sends me a text message and it's like, I get it. I finally get it. And I mean, part of the reason why I really like this book is because I definitely understand his thought process and his philosophies. And I feel like it's in some semblance a lot of the things that we've been talking about for a long time.
Yeah.
And like she was in the intro, like not even she didn't even start the book yet.
I
Was it-
no, it was like chapter 1.
It was either the intro or chapter 1. And she texted me, I get it. I finally get it. I'm like, dude, I swear. Obviously not very good at communicating. I guess that's why I haven't written a book.
Well, any woman knows that they don't actually listen to their spouses.
Yeah, it's probably true.
Yes.
Well, so tell me, so what clicked? Like, I mean, we're going to share this book with people. We've found it interesting. Probably going to be something that we'll end up diving a little bit deeper to at some point within the group as we create the making of book club. But
We need a book club.
this is the first one because it's something that you found
Wait, what is it
impactful.
called? How to buy back your time?
Yeah, I will actually pull it up right now
We
just
need
to make sure
a
we have the exact right
Dan
title.
Martell. Can we?
Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. So
It's really good. And I think what clicked for me is that it's actual actionable advice. It's not theory.
yeah, he's an entrepreneur, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like he's a guy that has started a number of companies and sold a number of companies, and he does coaching with real life people, and he uses a lot of those examples.
Mhm.
But what was the thing? What were the things that were starting to make a little bit more sense?
I know my office has done this before, but really writing down exactly where your time is going in a day. And then he has you highlight in different colors the things that are well, first he has you divide your hourly wage. Do you remember the formula? It's like
Yeah,
whatever you make in a year divided by
2000.
2,000, and then you
Well, so his theory is for everybody to have an understanding of what it is that
your time is worth.
your time is worth, right? And so, in theory, if you make $100,000 a year, and you divide that by 2,000 hours, which is
A
roughly
work week,
the
a work year.
yeah, the average number of hours that people work, and obviously everybody as entrepreneurs probably works more than that, but if you just use that as your given work year, right, your time is worth X amount of money, right? I think that works down to $50 an hour. Um, and so he says that anything that you can get somebody to replace your what you're doing for a quarter of your hourly wage is always going to be net profitable for you, right? So if we're sticking with this example, if your time is worth $50 an hour, anybody that will do it for $12.50 is something that you should give to somebody else, because that gives you more time to focus on $50 an hour work, right? And so, I mean, I love that idea. I love that theory, right? And so that means, if you can get somebody to wash your dishes at home for you for $12.50 an hour, or whatever it may be, keeping this to the practice, like if you can get somebody to help with one of these things for a fraction, for a quarter of what you're capable of doing with your time, that's what you should focus on, those higher value ideas,
Right.
right? And not just higher value from monetarily, but higher value internally too, right? Like the
Mhm.
things that actually fill you up and bring you joy, and because particularly for entrepreneurs, when you're in your happy place, when you're in your creative, joyful space, you're going to just be more effective.
Right. Right. And I know that I get stressed out and I'm just not in a good mood if I am looking at spreadsheets and bills and um, and all of that stuff. So I actually, at the beginning of this year, I finally, after 5.5 years, I released the reins on paying bills. So now Judy does that. And Judy and Colin, they are, it's, I can't even tell you how sweet it is to not have to do that. And I'm sure from both of their perspectives, how sweet it is that they don't have to wait for me to pay invoices and then get balance due, past due notice, because I hate this. So of course, if I hate it, I don't do it. And now weekly, they are giving me emailed reports of what they use the credit cards for. And Judy gives me, on top of the expenses weekly, she gives me a list of income. So every day she tracks diagnosis, treatment presented, treatment scheduled, who didn't schedule, and those patients will be highlighted in red. And she'll give me all of the banking stuff. So now I just get an email, which is really nice. Just stresses me out. I hate numbers.
Well, and I imagine for them, it makes them feel a lot better not having to hear you bitch and whine about having to pay bills, because it makes me feel better not having to hear you bitch and whine about paying bills. So I can only imagine them, because I think you stopped complaining to me about it.
Yeah. Well, and like listening to the book, I mean, he talks about how like the people who are running so many different companies, like Richard Branson, he used as an example.
Mhm.
Richard Branson has what, 100,000 employees, something 400 companies, and he spends less than 2 hours a day on business stuff. And then he also talked about Oprah's day. Like Oprah Winfrey, she's worth what, $3 billion now? And her day is, well, one, she's like amazing. And I want my day to be like an Oprah Winfrey day. But I mean, it makes sense. Like when entrepreneurs try to do everything and wear all the hats and do the things that they don't want to do, they get burnt out. And then that business doesn't propel. It doesn't grow. And he even talks about how the entrepreneur will unknowingly self-sabotage just to make it go away. You're looking at me like I'm trying to make it better. I'm trying to make it better.
No, I'm looking at you like we just had this conversation 15 minutes ago, the self-sabotage conversation.
But I just identified a lot with
Yeah.
what he was saying. Like he just, and it just clicked. It just clicked the way he talks about it and the way he uses his examples. And then he also addresses the what is it called when you not the conflict, no, the excuses. Like he addresses, okay, well, most people will say, well, I can't afford to pay so and so for that.
Yeah.
And then his reasoning is you really can't afford not to. And he said the first thing that you need to offload is your calendar and your email. If you do anything at all with after reading his book, those are the two things that he's most adamant about. So we need to,
Personal assistant.
yeah.
So if anybody's looking for a job, Ashley and I are looking for a personal assistant.
I feel like it's like the wrong crowd that
Oh,
you're.
that's true. Well, if you're yeah, you're probably in the same boat.
Yeah. So, I mean, he also, I remember before I started reading the book, you randomly texted me and you're like, we need a house manager. I'm like, what?
Yeah. I mean, I mean, look within our house, right? Let's use our house as an example of how to take this through. I mean, what are the things that we hate doing?
Cleaning,
Cleaning, right? Okay.
laundry,
So yeah, so we got cleaners. We don't have somebody that
once
does
a
laundry.
week though.
Yeah.
But it's only clean like the first few hours until the boys get home.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do? We get a full-time
I'm
house cleaner?
well, I don't know. I don't think we're there yet in this world, but yeah, I mean, laundry is the bane of any parent's existence,
Oh my
particularly if you have three
gosh.
boys that all play
What's so-
sports.
You can change clothes like 4 times a day.
So, lots of laundry. Like I'd love to figure out how to offload the laundry to somebody. Um,
I want to pay somebody to organize, like to declutter. So during the pandemic,
can we pay somebody to put your clothes away when you throw them on the floor of the bathroom?
you know why? Because we don't have a hamper in our master bath or our primary bath. And I don't want to take off my clothes, go naked, and drop it off in the laundry room. So it just stays on the floor
Yeah.
until our cleaners come. Because of course you got to clean before the cleaners.
Yeah. There's never a time that Ashley does more housework than Friday mornings before the
Right.
cleaners come.
Because I don't want them to judge.
How dare our
Yeah.
cleaners judge us?
I know. Can you guys message us and let me know if you also clean before your cleaners?
I mean, we also tell our kids to clean up before the cleaners
Oh
come.
yeah, we're like, get
Uh,
your shit away. The cleaners are coming.
Our boys don't understand it
No.
at all. They're like, the cleaners are coming. I'm like, yeah, put your toys away.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna probably talk a little bit more about some books as we're reading through them, and I think that'll probably be a regular part of our conversations and integrating how that's affecting the way that you think about the practice and affecting the way that the mind's working.
Mhm.
What else you got? You got any closing thoughts for people this week?
If you have an administrative assistant or personal assistant, will you message me and let me know how that's going, how the learning curve is? Because I know that, objections, that's the word.
Overcoming objections.
Yes, objections. So a lot of the objections with offloading your email is, well, I get sensitive information, we get banking account, like you're basically privy to all of that information if you're letting someone else check your emails first.
Yeah.
And that does make me nervous. But the author basically says, like, this is me and I am a very successful, like he runs so many companies. So he obviously makes a good amount of money. And he's like, and this is a non-negotiable for me. So yes, my personal assistant has signed an NDA. Like they know that whatever they're seeing in my inbox, they cannot discuss. And if I can do that with my assistant, then you have no reason not to also.
Yeah.
So I think our next episode will be
You getting an assistant?
yeah. And I know that Colin has been like my right hand with so many things, but she also is still sitting chairside and doing dentistry and doing all the back office manager stuff for Smile & Co. So it's one more thing that I don't want Colin to have to do. Like she already manages my calendar, but she's not managing my life's calendar. She's managing
Work calendar.
work calendar.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, like he was talking
between
about.
practices and date nights, like he said, if it's not on the calendar, it's not going to happen. Like your workouts, they all have to be scheduled. And then he talks about time blocking. Like on Wednesday mornings from 8 to 10, that is my dedicated podcasting time. Because I do want to make podcasting a priority again. I know. It's been,
So speaking of the editors, we're gonna cue the last 7 times that Ashley said that on the
I mean,
podcast.
you guys, I love this community, and I love talking, and I love like sharing what's happening in not just my professional life, and not just Smile and Co, and the transition that we've made from when we first started opening to 5 years to now opening a second location. I want you guys to be there along for the ride. And you know that I'm an open book. Like, I talk about the highs and lows, and I always want to have that dialogue. And when I'm doing all of the things in the office, I don't schedule the time, even though this is something that lights me up. In fact, like Little Black Dress, like something that completely lights me up and just fills my cup, is being able to connect with women, like not just dentists. I mean, for the good majority of our guests, we've had dentists, but we've talked about so many things on that show, and I haven't lined up any other interview, because between the 3 kids, the 1.5 practices, soon to be 2, I'm getting my shit together, like, it's just not happening.
You know what's funny? Coming full circle with this conversation. Hello, this is the face you make every time that you know I'm gonna say something
This
that's
is just
gonna
my
piss you
face.
off.
This is just my face.
Uh,
I don't know what to do with my face.
um, most of the time when I'm encouraging you
Oh,
to
yes.
do something on a Friday, particularly usually
Right.
because you're almost never clinical on Fridays. Usually your answer is either I'm paying bills or
Yeah.
I'm catching up on emails.
Or I'm scanning and shredding.
Literally,
Yeah.
the things that you just said need to get offloaded so you can be able to
Oh, I
do
hate it
things
so much.
that actually fill you up.
Yeah.
Are the things that
I
for the
hate
better part of the past 6 months, maybe a year, have literally occupied the time that previously was set for your podcasting.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. You know what I want? Like, in addition to a personal assistant, an administrative assistant, I want someone to go through the gigs and gigs and gigs of videos and photos and catalog them and edit them and put them somewhere. I've spent so much time.
So if you're in the greater Sacramento, if you're anywhere and you know a young person who's looking for a fun job of sifting through pictures and videos that would love to be able to create some content for the making of and or Smile and Company, reach out to us, Dr. Ashley at smileandcompany.com. Ash, I called you Ash. That's funny. Sign us out. I think we've overstayed our welcome. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of The Making of Smiling Co. Look at us. We are consistent.
2 weeks, not
2
bad.
weeks with my awesome co-host, my cohabitant. This is why it's getting done. And you guys, I love you guys so much that I got off the couch. I mean, my boys are not at home. It's quiet. And instead of having that downtime, because oh gosh, I love TV and movies so much. All I want to do is like cuddle on the couch with my husband. And I love you guys more that we stopped just to record.
No Netflix and chill this afternoon.
No Netflix and chill. And I really want you guys to reach out. Let me know what you want to hear. Let me know if you have an assistant. Let me know if you are also self-sabotaging, apparently. I disagree. I'm trying to make it better.
That's all we're trying to do.
That's all we're trying to do.
Better every
Just
day.
make it better. And yeah, join our Facebook communities if you don't already know. The Making of a Dental Startup on Facebook. We have a general group as well as a doctors only group. We are throwing our second retreat in November. We don't have a venue yet because I have been so busy scanning, shredding, and checking emails. So I fly to Scottsdale next week, and I'm meeting with a big luxury hotel, and she's going to be touring me around. So we'll see if that's a good fit. Yeah. I'm nervous about throwing it not in wine country.
Yeah. Just so you guys all know, if you're listening this far, you're our people, obviously.
Yeah.
But I mean, being in California, being a place that we can drive to, obviously made everything a little bit easier for coordination.
Yeah.
Trying to cross the bridge of throwing it out of state, though we want to, and though I think it would be great to have a place that a new, different luxury destination all the time.
Yeah.
It is a little scary, but
It's scary.
we'll figure it out.
Well, we can talk about that in the next episode.
All right. Peace out, y'all.
Bye, guys.